Hi, everyone, and welcome to the EDC Podcast. Today, I'm your host, Davide, and we're diving into something exciting. EDC's brand new release, the 18th edition of the Advanced Payments and Fintech Report. As always, the report is packed with insights, trends, and a few surprises about how fintech and payments are evolving around the world. Joining me today is Tue To, who leads our fintech practice here at EDC. We'll talk about what's new, what is next, and what might just redefine how we pay, bank, and move in 2026. Tue, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Davide. Great to be here.
All right, let's start with the basics. For those of you who might know you yet, could you tell us who you are, what your role is at EDC, and what's got you excited about fintech these days?
Sure. So I'll lead the fintech practice at EDC, which basically means my day job is to help clients make sense of one of the fastest moving industry out there, that is payments and fintech. That covers everything from AI and embedded finance to BNPL and digital currency. Honestly, it's like a bit like surfing a wave that keeps inventing itself. So you're either up and riding or catching your breath between waves.
Yeah, I can see the analogy. It's thrilling, but sometimes can be a bit terrifying.
No, exactly. So that what makes it fun. So with this report, we got to dig into what's really moving the needles in payment this year.
Okay, so what is new in the 2025 edition?
This year, it feels like the whole industry hits fast forward. Things that were still experimental just like a year ago, like agentic AI, stablecoins, even subscription-based BNPL, they're no longer pilots or proof of concepts. They're live, real, and scaling fast. And to see what's actually happening out there, we survey senior payment industry professional across the industry to get their perspective and incorporate that into our report. So this year, the report explored 14 hot topics, and then we're grouped them under 4 big themes. So the first one is AI and technology-led transformation, how AI, biometrics, and digital commerce are reshaping efficiency, security, and personalization. Second, we have new business models that are unlocking fresh revenue streams from BNPL and connected card payments to insurtech and virtual economies. We see the third is the infrastructure powering global payments, things like stablecoins, instant cross-border system, open banking, alternative payment methods, and banking as a service. And finally, we have financial inclusion and consumer shifts, essentially how digital banks and innovative lending tools are supporting small businesses in emerging markets. To think of it as a panoramic view where payments are heading, but one that actually cut through the noise to show what's working and what's just hype.
And so out of all these possible topics, how were you able to narrow it down to these 4 key themes, and which ones should listeners keep an eye on?
We focus on trends that aren't just buzzwords, the ones that are actually reshaping how money's moved today. Things like AI, orchestration, biometrics, subscription BNPL, connected card payments, stablecoins, and digital identity. These are the real movers. So take AI, for example. It is officially level up. We have nearly 40% of the payment professionals who do the survey say it's essential. And another 45% call it important. Literally, no one thinks it's unnecessary anymore. I mean, AI is running everything from transaction routing and fraud prevention to checkout optimization and even dispute management. So basically, I would say payment system have grown a brain. It's not a machine anymore. They act like human. They have a brain. Then there's subscription BNPL. This isn't just for online shopping anymore. Merchant adoption almost double year over year, and now is showing up in software as a service, memberships, and even B2B services. And if you thought connected car payments was science fiction, right? Think again. Your car can already pay for fuel, charging, parking, even your morning latte. Cars are basically becoming wallets on wheels. It's not science fiction. And then stable coins are also coming into their own. We're talking about 6 trillion in retail transaction volume in 2024. And, when Visa and MasterCard start backing it, it's serious. Meanwhile, biometric and digital ID are killing off PINs and password. We see fraud down about 75%. Onboarding is fast. And people actually like it, which is always a bonus. And finally, I would say financial inclusion is still huge. Small and medium-sized businesses in emerging markets, they have, I think, is 5.7 trillion funding gap. But fintechs are starting to move the needle with digital onboarding and alternative credit scoring. So overall, what's the common thread here? Payment aren't just moving faster; they're getting smarter, more seamless, and more inclusive.
So 2 numbers that kind of stuck with me are the $6 trillion in stablecoin volume and the 5.7 trillion in SME financing gap. Those are very, very big numbers.
Right. Payment might sound invisible, but the numbers are anything but small.
And let's keep talking about surprises. Anything in the data that made you raise an eyebrow?
No, absolutely. A few things really jump out this year. Some of them even surprise us. So first up, agentic AI is not just hype anymore. AI is now optimizing payments in real time, learning, adapting, and improving all on its own. Like I said, they have their own brain now. So it's like having a payment system that can actually think for itself. Then I would say digital bank. For years, people doubt that they could be profitable, but now over 500 million customers are using them. And I think about 40 digital banks are turning a profit. So that's a huge milestone. We're also seeing embedded finance quietly become the plumbing of modern payments. It's powering wallets, open banking, multi-rail orchestration, all behind the scene, making everything run smoothly without most people even noticing it. So another trend, the market is fragmenting fast. Fintechs and banks can't afford to work in silo anymore. Collaboration isn't just nice to have. It's becoming a survival skill. Finally, I would say trust, the most important one. It might sound simple, right? But it's ultimately the deciding factor. So whether it's payment or any types of business, consumer trust is definitely one of the key, most important factors in order to be successful. So our data show 91% of US consumers say smooth checkout is what matters most, right? And then about 77% will abandon the purchase if their preferred payment method isn't offered.
Yeah, so basically convenience is not a nice to have anymore. It's now make or break for a lot of the businesses that we're talking about.
Yep, exactly. So payment used to be the back office of commerce. Now is the front and center. So if I'm a merchant and my checkout is clunky, I'm basically giving away my customers. And we think consumers are very unlikely to come back for a second try.
And you mentioned at the start that you surveyed as part of the report senior payment leaders. What else stood out to you from that survey?
So the survey really backed up a lot what we're seeing in the market, and it's also added some surprises. Some of these we touched on earlier, like agentic AI, learning in real time, digital bank finally turning a profit, and embedded finance quietly powering everything behind the scene. And I would say beyond that, the survey gave us some fresh insights. So AI orchestration isn't just a nice to have anymore. 83% of our respondents said is either important or essential, powering everything from transaction routing to fraud prevention. Biometrics and digital IDs are also taking off. Leader highlights that it's not just about cutting fraud, it's making payments smoother and faster for the user. And then, you see, nearly 80% of the respondent said offering multiple payments option is essential to keeping the customer happy. And about half said consumer trust is the biggest drivers of adoption. Technology itself isn't enough. Trust and convenience are just as critical. So in short, I would say the survey confirmed what we've been saying all along. Seamless, trusted payments aren't optional anymore. They're table stakes.
Yeah, so basically the smartest companies that we're seeing aren't just adding new technologies, but they're building them in contextually and adding the whole experience around their solutions.
Right, exactly. It's not just about using AI or new payment methods, right? It's about redesigning the whole system to make it smarter, faster, and more trustworthy.
Okay. So what are some of the strategic points from the report? What advice do you have for fintechs and for traditional banks that are trying to keep up with all these new technological advances?
Yeah, I'm sure. I would say collaboration is the name of the game, right? Fintech needs to keep innovating. Think AI-driven orchestration, embedded finance, and most importantly, new customer experience. That's everything. It's about customer, right? Banks, meanwhile, have to modernize their infrastructure and partner instead of trying to compete on every front. I like to think of it like a dance. So fintech bring the rhythm and banks bring the stability. So if they move together, everyone wins, right? If not, someone's getting their toe step on and the customer's definitely leaving the floor.
Yeah, I like that analogy. It's payments tango, a new term to coin.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, the music is getting faster for sure.
And so before we wrap up, what are some of your bold predictions for 2026 after having, delved into all these trends with the FinTech report?
Sure, I'll give you three. So the first one, I say, is the AI-driven autonomy will reshape everything. So as I mentioned earlier, it's orchestration, fraud prevention, personalization. We're heading toward a self-optimizing payments that can literally think on their own. So second, I say fintech bank collaborations will accelerate, especially in cross-border and embedded finance. The smartest player will be the ones who move together, not apart, like the dance, right? And third, consumer trust will remain the ultimate currency. You can have all the tech in the world, but if people don't trust you, it's game over. So payments are becoming frictionless, contextual, and almost invisible, embedded seamlessly into our everyday life. Done it right, they're no longer just a utility. They're more of a strategic growth engine. So buckle up. 2026 is going to be shaping up to be a year where payments going to get faster, smarter, and even more essential than ever.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about all these trends. And speaking of buckling up, I'm a little bit nervous about my car buying coffee without me.
You'll be fine as long as you tip it well.
Tue, this was awesome. For those interested in the full report, you can find it on our website for download. We're also planning on having episodes focused on key topics in the future, so stay tuned for those. Tue, thanks again for joining us and for giving us a tour of the FinTech report and the future of payments.
No, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.